What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of House of Gucci. This film, of course, is directed by Ridley Scott. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. And if you like any of the videos, awesome, hit that like button, as well as comment below any bitch watch, including this one. So, House of Gucci is, of course, Ridley Scott's second film in 2021. It's the story of the Gucci family, how they lost their company, how everyone was betraying everyone, how there was murder and deceit, and it all involves a woman who is played by Lady Gaga, who plays Patricia. She's an individual that's a gold digger, as we see at the very beginning of this movie when she meets Maurizio Gucci, who's played by Adam Driver. And it's a story of how she kind of instilled herself into the Gucci family, allowed everything to kind of fall apart between the family members, including Aldo, who is, of course, played by Al Pacino, Rodolfo, who, of course, is played by Jeremy Irons, who's Maurizio's father, and Paolo, who's played in a very campy, over-the-top performance by Jared Leto, who was the uncle or the cousin who got screwed over in a lot of aspects. So, with that said, that's kind of the whole entire story: murder, deceit, deception, everything you can imagine in a very Ridley Scott style form, with his way he shoots everything and so on and so forth. So, with a person like Ridley Scott, these types of films like this and like All the Money in the World and, of course, you know, The Body of Lies and The Counselor and so on and so forth are right up Ridley Scott's later part of his career type alley, where he directs films that are epic in scale, that are epic in nature, that deal with a lot of interesting intrigue when it comes to, you know, revenge or betrayal or scheming or whatever it is. He really has a niche for liking these types of movies. So when it was announced that he was doing a film about the Gucci family and the House of Gucci and so on and so forth based off a book, I wasn't really that surprised. I knew he was going to get an A-list style cast, and that's what he got, like Adam Driver, Lady Gaga, and so on and so forth. But the thing about a movie like this, and what makes it really funny to think about, is you look at stuff like The Last Duel, The Martian, Gladiator, in a sense, and you realize that when Ridley Scott goes into the more traditional territory of like biographies and biopics and stuff like that, he seems to have a problem in his directing abilities. He seems to kind of falter. I don't know if that's because of like who he is and his age. I don't know if he has a big head when he does direct stuff, but it always seems like when he's focused on like sci-fi style movies or, you know, epic like sword and sandals types movies and like Last Duel and Gladiator, that he finds those more rejuvenating than a film like this. I really can't tell. But the problem is this movie has been getting terrible reviews. It's been considered one of his worst films that's been put out in quite a while, which I'm not really surprised about. And it's been pretty much explained that this is a movie that has terrible performances and is self-indulgent and feels like very much excess, which was a lot of the stuff that was thrown at Wolf of Wall Street, which I think was a fantastic film. That's just me. And after watching this film, I can't blame him for thinking that this movie's awful. It really is. It's one of the worst films I've seen this year, and it's on the simple fact that it feels like a schlocky, over-the-top, silly film. This actually doesn't feel like a film. It feels like one of those midnight movies that you go and you watch people like Lady Gaga and Adam Driver just put on some of the most silly-ass, over-the-top performances that you'll ever watch. The stuff that Jared Leto is doing in this movie is absolutely, like, it's baffling. It's bonkers. It doesn't make any sense. But then again, Jared Leto does stuff that doesn't make any sense half the time. I don't understand his logic and reasoning for doing films that he does, but his mindset was like, I'm going to take this character of Paolo, who may have been this, you know, this eccentric and stuff like that, and I'm just going to make him so over the top and in such a different movie that it almost becomes laughable. I mean, people were laughing and they enjoyed the character, but I'm like, what do you like about this character? There's nothing to like about this character. He's a guy that is a punching bag. He's, you know, looked upon as an idiot. You know, even his father, who's played by Al Pacino, calls him an idiot, and it just feels like Jared Leto is just doing something in another universe that everybody else is, you know, not in. I don't get it. And it's funny too, because like I said, Lady Gaga and Adam Driver are terrible in this movie. I don't even know what at this point I don't even know what Al Pacino is doing. He's just in his own universe by himself. Jeremy Irons isn't in this movie for very much because he eventually, you know, passed away in the movie, but you know, he feels very flamboyant and weird, and that's what this whole movie's problem is. It's just over the top and silly. Like, some of the set pieces are, you know, meant to be like very schlocky in nature. This feels like a Lifetime movie or something that Ryan Murphy would produce on, you know, FX or something like that. I mean, that's what this movie's major problem is. You know, it's not even the characters. It's the writing of the script, the way the story plays out. I know this is based off a true story, so maybe some of these eccentricities and over the top silly nature is what happened. But I just, you know, there's films out there that deal with fashion, that deal with betrayal, that deal with, you know, taking things from people and stuff like that. There are better films out there than this one. I don't know what Ridley Scott was thinking with this film. I don't know what the writers were thinking with this film. I know the actors were paid, so they did what they did. I know the crew did what they did because they were paid to do it. But I sometimes wonder if Ridley Scott just gets up his own butt when he makes these types of films. And I think when he goes off on a tangent about how superhero movies are terrible, and, you know, when Martin Scorsese does the same thing, it's just like, but you make films that people love, and then you make films that are absolutely horrendous. I mean, Ridley Scott should not talk about superhero movies when he's making garbage like this movie. This movie's just, it's baffling how bad it is. I just don't understand the purpose of a movie like this. I understand that it's a B-grade level movie at this point. It's a very schlocky movie, and people like, you know, movies that are trash in the making, but I don't know. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if I can't look beyond the simple fact of what movie making is and what, you know, different people and their opinions on it. But I was just so baffled by this movie. I don't even know what else to say about it. It was just, there are points in this movie where Lady Gaga's character, Patricia, is so over the top in what she's doing, so clingy in what she's doing, so evil. She's like evil incarnate in this movie. And then what she, you know, Salma Hayek pops up in this movie as a fortune teller, and they become friends. And that's when they plot, because Mauricio was killed by, you know, as a hit by, of course, Patricia. That whole stuff is just silly and over the top, and it just, I know I'm going off on tangents or whatever, but it's just, it's hard to want to like a movie like this when it doesn't feel like there was any effort put involved, like there was any passion in this movie. There's not really any passion. There's actors with A-list status that were paid lots of money, a director who is getting to a point where sometimes he makes a good film, 99% of the time he doesn't, and I don't know. I don't know what to expect anymore. Like I said, Last Duel was incredible, a great piece of, you know, back in the medieval time style movie, and then he does this, and it's like no wonder why he's just looked upon as a guy who has kind of lost his touch when it comes to directing, I guess. So this movie's bad. It's one of the worst movies I've seen this year, and it definitely deserves not to be watched. But like I said, I know there are people out there, especially people I know, that like this movie, and I appreciate the fact that you like the movie. I didn't, and that's how I stick my to my review with it. So anyways, I wish for better. Didn't get it, but that happens. So anyways, that'll do it. That'll be my take on House of Gucci. Thank you so much for watching. Comments below. If you enjoyed this movie, perfectly all right. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. If you didn't like it, you know, tell me why as well. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top. The fun is coming next. If you like any of the videos, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.